Dear Shrestha viewers, welcome to Shrestha Gnanadaini. How are you all? Are you enjoying my videos? Okay. Today our next concept is about the temperature. So this temperature is a term which we have came across from the starting of the EVS subject. Yes or no? So temperature, wherever we go, temperature. What is this temperature? It is a simple thing. Whenever even we have a fever, how do you measure and what do you measure? That is a temperature, right? Is it like so hot or so cold? If it is less than 100, then it is like you don't have fever. If it is more than 100, which means you have a serious fever. So that is how in every cases the temperature is measured. Even in the climate and the weather, the temperatures are measured. So based on that only, based on the temperature levels only, we decide whether the climate is hot or cold. Yes or no? So that is the point. So temperature is a measure of how hot or cold the atmosphere is. So it is most commonly measured with weather parameters, and more specifically temperature describes the kinetic energy or energy of motion or gases etc. that is mixed up in the air and some molecules that move more quickly, and air increases the temperature. So this is about the introduction. Like, I hope you understood that. Then now what is this factors that affect the temperature? Now you understood what is temperature, and you know temperature is again usually it is in a Fahrenheit, Celsius etc. equal to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. You listen this kinds of terms, right? 77 degrees Fahrenheit, Celsius etc. So now what are these factors that affect the temperature? Is altitude, latitude, distance from the sea and ocean, oceanic current. Now we have already seen these components or the factors affecting the temperature in before videos as well. So here the factors are only mainly four factors, that is altitude, latitude, distance from the sea and ocean, oceanic current. Remember again I am telling you altitude, latitude, distance from sea and ocean, and oceanic current. So what is altitude? Like it is a height measured from sea level is called altitude. From sea level if you measure, that is called altitude. At a lower altitude, which means at the thick mass of the air which can absorb the sufficient amount of sun heat, so it is called hot at the low altitude. Then what is this altitude? When it is increases, there is a thin mass of air which cannot absorb sufficient amount of sun's heat. So what happens is the temperature also gradually decreases at this time with increase in altitude levels. So this is called the cold at high altitude. Now we have seen before hot at low altitude, and now here we are seeing cold at high altitude. Then the temperature decreases by 1 Celsius when the altitude increases by 160 meters to 165 meters. I know it's a bit confusing, but here the main thing is altitude, that is measured from the sea level. Height is measured from the sea level, and when it is going low level we are seeing the hot waves with low altitude, and when it is decreasing or at a higher level it is increasing, then we are seeing the cold level at the high altitude. And when it is decreasing 1 Celsius by 1 Celsius, it is increasing by 160 to 165 meters. So that is about the altitude. Then what is latitude? So latitude again is an important factor. Why? Because it affects the climate of a particular place. It affects. When latitude increases, the distance from the sun also increases. Yes or no? So the temperature gradually decreases. As the equator lies near to from the sun, direct rays directly it will fall on the shorter period of time, and it is so hot throughout the year at this time period. So what happens, but these poles lie far from the sun. So as a result, slanting rays fall and take relatively longer period of time, and so it gets cold with increase in latitude. So this is about the latitude and where it is placed and why it is affecting the temperature. It affects the temperature and the climate of a particular place. So when this latitudes and the sun is equal to, at a place of equator zone or something like that, we will see that decreases and increases of the pace and how cool or hot it is going to be. And cold weather is dominant. It is the coldest at the polar regions throughout the year. Polar regions are always on the poles, North Pole, South Pole, these are called as the polar regions. And here it is near, if it is near to the equator pole or the pole at the highest, then it is called the coldest regions, and it will be cold throughout the year. Only sometimes like 4 months or 5 months you will be having the summer season, and remaining it will be filled with lot of darkness. So that is latitude. Then what is the distance from the sea and ocean, which means a place where you live, if it is the nearest place or the farthest place, or if it is a coastal line, it also decides the distance and also it affects the temperature. Do you ever feel like in a coastal area, wherever you go, you find a lot of humidity, like lot of sweating, lot of heat, etc.? Yes or no? So that is like during summer, what happens is the earth lies near to the sun, and what happens, like it turns towards the sun, the earth planet turns towards the sun, and what happens, the sun rays falls perpendicularly. The sea water gets heated because of this, because as you know, the earth is covered by 3/4 of water and 1/4 of land. So sea water gets heated but cools down slowly in comparison to land. It gets heated soon, but than land it takes much time to get the water to get cold. So what happens, land gets heated because of this faster and cools down fast. Then what happens, the distance from the sea or oceans will increase, the temperature also increases. Because we are living in the coastal area and that is turned towards sun, the effects of the sun directly falls on that sea and that climate, and that affects us through temperature. So now it's easy. So this is our third point, distance from the sea and ocean, and how does it affect the temperature. Now the fourth point is oceanic current. What is oceanic current? The movement of this oceanic water will be, right, so that depends upon the sea breeze and temperature. This oceanic water, its waves or something like that, this movement and all, that's depending on the temperature and the breeze, the wind or the breeze, the air that we have near the sea, based on that. So this keeps on floating on the banks of the ocean, which is called oceanic current. Because of this waves, because of this breeze only, it keeps on flowing on the banks of ocean, which means on the shore. That is called oceanic current. The hot air coming from the equatorial region results to warm ocean currents, and cold air coming from polar region results in cold ocean currents. So cold or warm, when it touches, we see the water temperature, then we can understand. So when the water comes and touches our toes, when we are standing near the sea or ocean, people go for fishing and all, so they can understand. If it is so hot, it is because of the hot air coming from the equatorial zone. So we get warm ocean currents. And if it is cool, then it means that it is from cool air coming from the polar region. That is a result of cold ocean currents. So this is the area where there is warm ocean current. We can find warm climate. So obviously warm ocean current means it is always hot. So we always have the warm climate. Similarly, the area which is in the cold current, it will always be cool, like polar regions. So polar regions is always treated as a very cold climate area. So it is always cool. So depending on that radiations, the rotations, revolutions and sun's effect on this thing, and like ocean currents and how hot it is or how cold it is, that affects the temperature. So this is about the temperature and its factors that are affecting the temperature. So I hope I made it relevant. I explained to the point. It is easy for you to understand. If it is little bit confusing, then just pause it here. Again go back and listen it carefully. You will understand. I hope you enjoyed this topic. If so, then stay tuned to Shrestha Gnanadayini. Subscribe my channel before going into another video. Thank you.